midnight screams.
Today is my 25th birthday. I've been getting a creepy gift every year. Every time I get a box in my doorstep, my skin crawls. I used to have panic attacks, but now I know that the creepy gift will only come on my birthday, and it's inevitable. I never had simple pleasures such as waiting happily for something I bought online or living for many years in the same house. I've been moving every year, and this person still finds me. According to my parents, the macabre tradition started when I was 10. My mother got the unknown box addressed to me, her only daughter, and naturally opened it to check it out. At 45, she literally had a heart attack, but my parents were still able to hide its nefarious contents from me. We moved to another house, and they were the ones to find my creepy gift the next year again. When I turned 12, living in yet another house, I found the box for the first time. Needless to say, it really messed up my head. My parents tried to tell me it was a sick joke, and that the thing was a fake one. For a while, I tried to believe it, but it was hard because I had to spend all my birthdays at the police station, and the policeman never addressed that like it was fake. I don't have friends or a boyfriend, and I live in fear. I've been homeschooled after I was 12, and always worked home office. The only thing I ever do outside of my house is going to therapy. My parents are getting too old to move around every year, so I've been living on my own lately. It's fine, as long as my lease and bills are under someone else's name. It makes me feel like I have some control over my life. I legally changed my name twice, but this person still finds me. Happy birthday to me. I'm spending it at the police station again, testifying the same thing all over. No, I don't know who this person could be. Yes, I tried setting up cameras. I tried having both policemen and private security at my door to catch them, but it was no to avail. No, nothing out of the ordinary happened to me in the last couple of days, or in any other day of the year. No one has ever tried to kill me. I never wronged anybody. I never accidentally witnessed a crime. I never did anything that could make a murderer target me. Because this much is pretty clear. My perpetrator is a murderer. Every year, I get a woman's scalp. I already got all types of slaughtered females. Old, young, middle-aged, blonde, brunette. This time, it was clear that the head belonged to a very young female. She couldn't have been older than 10. My heart sunk. I hate how they always ask twice if I don't have any enemies, if I didn't steal someone's boyfriend. Because that's the first thing in your mind, killing someone just to send the top of their head to your rival. There's no such thing making meme posts on social media or spray painting the bitch's car. There are many things about this situation that are even creepier than the scalps. The first, of course, is that I do my best to hide whenever I move to a new place, but the person doing this always finds me. The second is that the box always has fingerprints of a single person all over it. He or she doesn't even try to hide it. Whenever the police check them out, there's no match. Like this person doesn't exist, or doesn't exist yet. Am I too crazy to consider that my attacker is a time traveler? The third thing is that when the police technicians run the DNA test on the scalp, they always find the same result. Year after year, the dead female is me. The rules for watching our cat. I live next door to a family of 4, a couple and their 2 kids, a teenage boy and a little girl. They're a pretty normal family, kind to everyone in the neighborhood. Recently, they asked me to stay at their house and look after their cat while they went on vacation. Seeing they were willing to pay a huge sum of money, I immediately agreed. I arrived at their house just as they were leaving, watching them load the last of their things for the road. I stood at the entrance, waiting for them to come out and hand me the keys. Strangely, on her way out, the little girl stuffed a few small folded notes into my pocket. I said my goodbyes, closed the door, and started to read the notes. The handwriting was messy, with a few parts scribbled out and some of the difficult words misspelled. "Hello, neighbor. Thank you for agreeing to stay at our house and look after Confetti, our cat, while my family is away. Don't worry, it won't be hard. Like my dad said, you'll get paid, and a lot, so it'll be totally worth it. I know my parents already gave you some rules, but these are the very important ones. They don't know everything that happens in the house when they're at work all day. First, the daytime rules. My parents said you will be staying in their room. Don't. It's safer in my room, so please stay in there. My room is the one with the pink bed and the cute teddy bears. But don't stare at them for too long. They get shy easily. Feed Confetti. I'm not sure what his feeding time is, but my parents probably told you. Remember this, because it's very important. Don't overfeed him. He's already a bit chubby, and he'll get sleepy if he eats too much. And that's not good, because he'll need to be able to run. Don't go into my brother's room. It smells really bad in there for some reason, and there's something that looks like a person sitting on the bookshelf. I call it Fred. The last time I went in there, it ran at me and started scratching my legs and pulling my hair. I was so scared, but when I told my mom, she didn't believe me. Don't let Confetti leave the house. He'll get lost. Nothing bad will happen to you, but I'll be very sad, and that's not a good thing. Please don't leave the house for too long. Confetti will get lonely, and he becomes more vulnerable if you're not there to protect him. Usually, when we feel lonely, the other strange things in the house can sense it, and they hunt him more. If you're gone for too long, there will be no one in the house to protect him. That's why my family wanted to hire you to stay here, instead of just dropping by to feed the cat a few times a day. If you really need to use the bathroom, use the one downstairs. The upstairs bathroom is always occupied, and I have no idea who's using it. If you hear Confetti meow loudly while staring at something, do not look where he's looking. He's looking at something very scary. Run to my room and call his name loudly, and after a few calls, he'll come to you. When he does, close my bedroom door, barricade it with a chair, and stay inside for a very long time. 7A. If Confetti doesn't come to you, close your eyes and run to him. Pick him up and carry him into my room. Do not look back while you're doing it. 7B. If you hear a knock on the door, don't open it. Ignore it, no matter how hard it pounds. Do not open the door. If you do, you should panic, because whatever's out there will do something terrible to you, I think. Please, play with him. He's just a little kitten, and he has a lot of energy. If you don't play with him, he'll go find someone else to play with. Next, the nighttime rules. Put Confetti's little bed in my room. He'll be safe in there with you all night. He might ask for pets, so please give him some. Do not walk through the hallways at night. There are terrible creatures that will try to grab you from all over the house. If you wake up suddenly, in the middle of the night, you might see a woman staring at you. Don't worry, she's my friend, but I don't actually know if she's friendly to other people, so it's best to pretend you're still asleep. My parents go to bed at 8 p.m. and don't know what happens after that. So you should go to bed at 8 p.m. This is all I could write on this stupid little piece of paper. Sorry. I stared blankly at the rules on the paper after reading them. This had to be some kind of prank, right? Probably just the games of a mischievous kid. As I was staring at the paper, the cat suddenly let out a loud meow. I tossed the note aside and went to him. He was staring intently at something. Ignoring the rules, I looked where he was looking. What was that? A humanoid creature towered over me, a grotesque smile plastered on its face. I felt myself freeze, swallowing hard. It was terrifying. Suddenly, I remembered the rule. I snatched the cat and ran straight to the little girl's room with the pink bed. I shut the door and sat in the silent room just before a powerful banging started on the other side. I should have barricaded the door with the chair. My cousin told me his terrifying experience in central Michigan. My cousin is my best friend. We have been since childhood and never grew apart as adults. Anytime we have get-togethers or free time, or pretty much anything, we call each other up and hang out together. For some reason, though, I couldn't make it to go out this particular night, and I am actually happy I couldn't go. He went with his two buddies instead. If his telling the truth about what happened, I don't know if I could ever sleep alone again. I'll tell you guys what he told to the best of my memory. Names are changed for privacy. 2 days ago, I was sitting at home when I got a call from Eric, cousin. He seemed to be paranoid about something or worried, and what he told me sent shivers down my spine. Hey man, I gotta tell you some weird shit that happened when me, James, and Garrett went out to this supposedly haunted abandoned building in Grand Rapids. I swear to God, I've been hearing shit at night, and I feel like someone's been following me that isn't actually here. I swear to God, dude, I'm not kidding. I think something is following me and is going to kill me. I could hear his voice start to shake at the end of his sentence. We all got the great idea of bringing a Ouija board out with us to see if we could get the damn thing to actually work. Of course, we were drinking, but that's it, dude. No weed, shrooms, or anything. We found a broken window pretty quick, so we all snuck in through it, and immediately we were hit with a nasty-ass musty smell. It was so bad, but we weren't gonna turn back just because the place stunk like shit. So we explored a little bit, and it was pretty cool at first, seeing all of the graffiti and whatnot, but as we got further into the place it got disturbing. There was writing on the walls telling you to turn back and that HE lives here. We thought it was funny at first, but we got creeped out pretty quick. Of course, Garrett decided this was the best place to break out on the Ouija board, and we just agreed to get it over with and get the fuck out of that place. Something just felt off. After we got the board set up, and we weren't laughing and joking anymore, I realized how quiet it was. You could hear a damn mouse fart. Man, it was that quiet. We all worked up the courage and set our finger on that centerpiece you used to communicate and started asking questions. Garrett asked the first question. Is anyone here? We could hear he was nervous. The piece didn't move at all when Garrett asked, so I tried a few. I asked if anyone wanted to communicate, and if they were nice spirits. You know the usual questions you see in the movies that people ask when using one of those boards. We were all starting to get disappointed when finally it's something answered. I wish to God it hadn't, and I wish James didn't ask that stupid question. "Are you a pussy? Is that why you won't talk with us?" he asked as we all laughed. We all stopped laughing pretty quick when we heard the thing slide on the board, dragging our fingers with it. No, we all spent the next minute or two trying to figure out who moved it. When the next time it moved, we knew it wasn't any of us. No way, man, not the way our fingers moved with it. You would have had to have been there to know what I mean, but it dragged our fingers pretty quick as it spelled out a sentence. "Stay with you." We looked around nervously, trying to find out what the hell it mean. Then all of a sudden, I started feeling sick. I knew what it meant. It was going to latch itself to us and follow us home. "You guys, we need to end this and get out of here. I have a bad feeling about this," I told the guys. When I looked up at them, I swear to God, my heart pounded so hard I thought it was going to stop altogether. James and Garrett were both looking directly at me with these huge, cartoonish fucking smiles, man. His voice started cracking, and he began to sob lightly. Both of their eyes were so fucking open, man. I didn't know what to do. I just sat there, stunned, man. There was something so wrong about both of their faces. They looked like different people. It was so terrifying. So I tried talking to them, just praying that they were playing a joke on me. But I knew. It was getting harder to understand him as he began sobbing harder. "James, what the hell are you guys doing?" I could barely get the words out. I was so scared. Then James shook his head no very slowly, and drool started dripping from his damn huge-ass smile. So I looked over at Garrett, and he too was smiling wildly with those huge eyes. He was panting though, quick, rapid breaths. I have never been so afraid in my life. They were possessed or something, I don't know, but this wasn't the same two people I came in with. I had to act quick, so I jumped up as quick as I could and just ran back the way we came. It was the most terrifying second of my life as I ran, hoping to hear them laugh and call me back, but they didn't. Instead, I heard them get up and start coming after me. They were laughing, but not in a normal fucking way, man. It was like a hiccuping giggle, like they were having fun and were hunting me. I had a little lead on them, so I looked back, and I couldn't believe it, dude. They were running, but it was so fucking strange. Their arms were glued to their side, and it looked like they broke their necks with the weird angle they were at. That's when I noticed how quick they were gaining on me. I tried to fucking run faster, but I couldn't, so I had to look somewhere to hide or something. I came around a corner and noticed a small room, so I dove in as quietly as I could and held my breath. I could hear their footsteps stomping as they got closer, and thank fucking God they ran past the little room I was in. Hearing those weird short breaths was terrifying as they passed the door. I heard them go down some steps, so as quietly as I could, I shut and locked the door. I don't fucking know how, but they heard that damn door, dude. They stopped dead in their tracks and started racing back up the steps. How the fuck did they hear that? I remember whispering to myself. I searched around frantically and noticed a small window at the end of the room. I got up to go to it, and then right behind me was a huge bang as they crashed into the door. "Knock it the fuck off!" I screamed at them. It got real quiet after that, and I listened and waited for something to happen. "Dude, what the fuck? Where are we?" I heard James's normal voice ask. I never felt more relieved in my life to hear an actual voice. "James, is that you?" I'm embarrassed to say I started to cry from pure joy. "Yeah, what the hell is going on?" he asked, sounding pretty confused. "Where is Garrett?" I asked, hoping he was alright too. "I don't know. I don't see him," he said, sounding a little frightened. I started jogging to the door, and just as I grabbed the door to open it, I looked down, and that's when I noticed the shadows. There was definitely 2 shadows on the other side of that door. Why would he tell me he didn't see Garrett if I could clearly see his shadow at the door? My heart started to race again as I realized it was whatever that thing was trying to trick me. "Come, one man, open up. It's fucking scary out here," James pleaded. I backed up to the window and found a leg from an old chair and took a swing as hard as I could, the window shattering on impact. As soon as it broke, the pounding at the door started back up, and I could hear those same weird giggles again. I jumped out the window and ran as fast as I could, taking one look back. James and Garrett were both standing at broken window with those same creepy smiles watching me run away. I didn't slow down for a second, in fear they would start chasing me again. I got home and locked all of my doors and been paranoid as fuck, feeling like someone is always watching me. I didn't know what to do, so I called you, man. The problem now is that they both started texting me about half an hour ago. This was where his story ended, and he asked me to come over to his house. I told him I would be over in an hour or so. I thought I would share this with you guys before I head out. I'm going to try and convince him to go check on his buddies with me to see if they're all right. Wish me luck. A lady followed me on a hiking trail in central Michigan. I don't know if she was human. Hello, Reddit. I could really use some help here, as I'm starting to really get worried. Last night I was followed by a very creepy lady while out hiking in my local trails at state land. I've hiked and hunted these trails my whole life, and not once have I encountered anything quite like this. Don't get me wrong, I've had my fair share of spooky things happen while out solo camping, but this chilled me right to the bone. And now I think I'm being stalked. Let me explain what's been going on, and hopefully one of you, maybe Ab, to help me out here. Last night, Christmas Eve, I had nothing to do as I have no kids, no wife, and my parents live 3 hours away. So to kill my boredom, I had the genius idea of going on a solo hike through our local trails. Like I said, I've hiked these trails multiple times. This time, however, I'll never forget. I got out to the trailhead 5 p.m. I had my headlamp on, and I knew these trails like the back of my hand, so I wasn't too concerned with the sunlight quickly fading. I don't know if any of you are from Michigan, but we're having a surprisingly sunny and warm December. However, it still gets dark here, around 5 to 5:30 p.m. The weather was beautiful and perfect for a nighttime walk. We don't have too many nice winter days like this, so I wanted to take full advantage and enjoy warm night air. So I got out of my truck and started up the trailhead. This particular trail I was on started out in dense pine trees, and after a mile or so, it opened up to these awesome valleys with huge fields. Most of the time, if I was quiet enough and looked around, I could see some deer grazing and other wildlife. This time, though, nothing. I was honestly quite surprised there wasn't a single animal, considering how beautiful of a night it was. Now that I think about it, I didn't see or hear even a squirrel in the pines, which is very uncommon. They are plentiful in these parts, and no matter the time, I can always hear them running and playing in the trees. This time, it was dead quiet. I kept on walking though, and just enjoyed the peace and quiet. Once I exited the pines and entered the first field, I started to get this nagging feeling in the pit of my stomach, like something was watching me. I chalked it up to me being paranoid due to the lack of wildlife and continued on. I wish I would have turned back right then and there, but if I did, well, I wouldn't be here posting now, would I? Anyway, I continued on and the feeling just intensified as I progressed. At this point, A was a good mile and a half in, and it dawned on me. If there was something out here with me, I was screwed. Not a single person knew I was out here, and I never had cell reception when in this area. If a predator was stalking me, I would just be done for. I was kicking myself in the ass for not bringing my handgun with me, honestly. We don't have a whole lot of dangerous game here in central Michigan, so I didn't think twice about it when leaving. I was nearing the end of the first field, and before I stepped into the next little section of pines, I decided to take a quick look around, just to satisfy that nagging feeling in the back of my mind. At first I didn't see anything, but just as I was about to turn back around, something caught my eyes. There was slight movement back, about 100 yards behind me. "The fuck?" I whispered, as squinted to get a better look. I wasn't sure, but it looked like a figure, half hidden behind a bush. I stared closely, and when I saw it shift slightly, my heart leaped into my throat. The figure was definitely humanoid, and it appeared to be staring straight at me. "Hello," I foolishly called out, hoping whoever it was would simply identify itself. As soon as I hollered, the figure quickly ducked behind the bush, disappearing from my view. My heart was racing pretty good at this point, a million worst-case scenarios running through my mind. I couldn't help but think it was a serial killer ready to pounce and stabbed me to death, stashing my body in Theseus woods. I turned around and started walking a little faster, trying to distance myself from whoever was out here with me. To my horror, I heard twigs and sticks snapping a little ways behind me as the person started to follow me. "I have a gun!" I shouted, trying to scare them into leaving me alone. Looked back over my shoulder to see where they were at, and when I did, my heart hammered in my chest. I swear, I thought I was going to pass out. The person was now maybe 20 feet behind me, and I could tell it was a woman. Only her jaw hung open, as if in complete shock. Her eyes opened extremely wide, staring directly at me. When I first turned around, she was still walking, and the way she moved scared me so bad, it sent me into a dead sprint upon looking at her. I know it sounds kind of funny, but believe me, it wasn't. She was tiptoeing as quiet as she could, in the same way a cartoon character would, trying to be sneaky. Her legs taking these huge, lanky steps. Everything about the way it looked and moved just sent these shivers down my spine. "Leave me alone, lady!" I shouted as I ran away as fast as I could. As I ran, I heard her start to laugh hysterically as she chased me. She was no longer trying to be quiet as I could, her crashing through the woods, catching up to me rather quickly. I decided to turn and run off the trail once I rounded a bend, where I knew she couldn't see me for a moment. As soon as I stepped off, I quickly hid behind a tree and turned off my headlamp. After a couple of seconds, I heard the sound of her heavy, odd footsteps as she got closer and closer. I held my breath and slammed my eyes shut, sending a quick prayer to the Lord above to just let her pass. Her horrible laughter echoed through the woods as thankfully she ran past me. As soon as her footsteps sounded a little further down the trail, I jumped out from behind the tree and took off running back the way I came. I hadn't got 20 feet when I heard a blood-curdling scream bellow throughout the woods. Fuck. I ran faster than I ever had in my life, running on pure adrenaline and the will to live. I just knew if she caught me, I wouldn't make it, and it would be a horrible, painful death. The sound of her footsteps once again got louder and louder as she got closer. How the fuck could she run so fast? I felt a huge wave of relief as I saw the entrance to the trailhead, maybe 100 feet ahead. Somehow, I ran even faster as I knew my truck would be right there. I reached into my pockets and fished my keys out. She let out another hideous scream as she got even closer, maybe 50 feet behind me now. I got to my truck and jumped in, putting my keys in the ignition and starting it in record time. I backed out and peeled out of there as fast as I could without losing control. After one final scream of frustration, I looked in my rearview mirror to watch the woods disappear in my rearview mirror. The whole drive home I kept checking behind me, afraid I'd see her chasing after me, even though I knew it would be impossible at 60 miles per hour. 5 minutes later, I pulled in my driveway and jumped out of the truck once parked, running full blast inside. I slammed the door behind me and locked it. I ran all around my house, locking every window and door, not feeling safer until I knew I was locked up and safe. I walked upstairs to my bedroom and laid in my bed, catching my breath. After a little while, I must have passed out from exhaustion. I awoke to the pitch-black room and quiet house. My heart started racing as I remembered the lady from the woods, and I jumped up to look out my window. No, I quietly whispered as I looked in my backyard. The lady from the woods was standing in my backyard, slack-jawed and staring right up at me. My heart once again pounded so hard I thought I would faint. As soon as she noticed me, she smiled this huge, impossibly wide, ear-to-ear grin. She then shrieked that awful scream again and ran back into the woods. Needless to say, I didn't sleep after that. So that's why I'm here. If anyone has an idea of what the hell this lady is, as I know there's no way she's human, can someone let me know? Maybe give me some advice on what to do here? Thanks in advance. Tommy Morgan did not have the best life. Coming from a broken home, the young one, 1 year old, only experienced the worst. His father would return home drunken like a skunk, and he would get into heated arguments with his wife over money, and how, since he was the bread maker, he could do with his earnings what he saw fit. Tommy's mother would do chores around the house, her eyes red from sobbing. Tommy himself would receive whippings from his father for the slightest of offenses. It always came with the hollow assurance that it would build character. There were many things that the boy despised, his father being number one on his list. A day never went by in which he dreamed of getting revenge on him, but it was all but a fantasy. His father was big and stout. As far as Tommy was concerned, his father was an unconquerable Goliath to his David. Thoughts of running away crossed his mind, but he did not have the heart to abandon his mother to the brute. He thought that he would never be able to get rid of him, at least until that day. One of the few joys Tommy had in life was Halloween. On that holiday, he could discard his miserable life and become anyone he wanted to be. The candy and decorations were also a plus for him. His father, despite everything else, would at the very least spruce the house up for All Hallows Eve with a spider made of old rags here and a papier-mâché ghost there. On a particular day, he brought home a skeleton. The skeleton was roughly his size, being 6'5" in height. It was dry, with some visible cracks, around the ribs and spine. It was missing a few upper teeth in the back, likely from years of wear and tear. Its hollow eye sockets were jet black and devoid of life. The bones, yellow with age, made a slight thump sound against the wall anytime Tommy's dad would swing the ancient artifact back and forth. It looked absolutely fragile in his colossal hands. He explained that he got the decoration from an old antique store, bragging about how much he swindled the store owner to get the skeleton cheap. He placed the skeleton in the bench on the porch and returned inside without much thought. Resuming his drinking, once more he got into a fight with Tommy's mother, this time over her wanting new curtains. Tommy left the house and sat on the bench with the skeleton. He vented his complaints to the decorative piece, not thinking much about whether he would be heard, but he nevertheless felt at ease talking to someone. From there on out, Tommy found himself loving the skeleton. Each day he would talk to it and would take care of it. Any time leaves would fall on it, Tommy would blow them off with a leaf blower. When it rained, Tommy covered the skeleton with rags. For a second, he could have sworn that the skeleton was receptive to his acts of kindness. During one instance, when he was gently wiping the skeleton's arm, Tommy heard whistling. From the direction he was looking, it appeared that his teeth were clattering. However, Tommy chalked it up to the wind blowing through the skeleton's mouth. Beyond his days spent with the Halloween decoration, Tommy's life continued as normal. His parents would argue over the tiniest of offenses, and his mother would resume doing chores around the house with tear-streaked eyes. Tommy would continue to receive beatings that his father thinly veiled as discipline. During dinner, Tommy accidentally dropped a glass, causing it to fall on the floor and break into a million pieces. As his father was beating him, there was a sudden thumping coming from the porch. Alarmed, the three paused to listen to the sudden noise. Whatever was out there paced back and forth on the porch, stomping as hard as its foot would allow. With bated breath, Tommy's father approached the door, opened it, only to see the skeleton in its sitting position. Once more, it was attributed it to the culprit being the wind. For the next few days, the thumping would continue. The repetition ate away at Tommy's father, spurring him to leave home and remain out for longer hours. In his dreams, he was tormented by the skeleton. He would find himself in bed, alone. The skeleton appears at the foot of his bed and it slides over his body, just coming short of his neck. His dad would wake up with a jolt and refuse to sleep the rest of the night. However, Tommy's dreams were starkly different. He would receive sweets and other confections, and his father would be far away. The skeleton would stand by, looking at him in the distance. Eventually, Tommy's dad couldn't take it anymore, and during a stormy night, he gathered the skeleton and tossed it in the back of his truck with little hesitation. Poor Tommy was awakened from his deep slumber only to see the skeleton that he cherished being driven away. He ran to the door, but the truck bolted to life and bucked its way off the driveway. Heartbroken, Tommy returned to his bedroom and cried himself to sleep. The next day, his father returned, and so did the skeleton. Surprised at first, Tommy was grateful that his friend was back. Even more bizarre, his father was kinder. When Tommy accidentally broke a plate, instead of the whipping he was anticipating, he was instead given a stern but fair warning about how he could have hurt himself. There were no more arguments over money, which meant that his mother was now at peace. Their marriage also improved, and the two seemed more in love with each other in all the years of their life. However, Tommy couldn't help but notice that his father was acting weird. He moved around as if he were a stranger in his own skin. His legs would wobble and knees buckle from the smallest of movements. Sometimes the skin around his face would slide, forcing him to push it back up with his spare hand. His jaw would hand agape as he ate, which translated to shoving food into his mouth at the back of his throat. Tommy learned the truth on Halloween. When he stared at the skeleton on the bench, there were no cracks on the ribs. In fact, instead of being ancient, the skeleton appeared to be fresh and, dare say, even more lifelike than before. It even had a full set of teeth. Shocked, Tommy turned to look at his father, who stared at him for what seemed like an eternity before giving a wink.